once again, wishing you all a very good evening, and I warmly welcome all of you on behalf of upGrad to this webinar. We're largely going to be talking about the career opportunities in Canada and when is the right time to actually move from India and transition to a Canadian university. What are some of the nuances that are involved, and how is your industrial immersion actually looked at, and what are some of the jobs or some of the biggest chances you have to enhance your employability in Canada. So we're going to be covering all of those. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Jashan Mahal, who is a student in Canada. She goes to the University of Alberta and is currently pursuing Bachelor of Arts in Psychology. Ma'am, we warmly welcome you and look forward to hearing your opinion. Ma'am, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jashan. Thanks for the warm introduction. And I've been in Canada for 3 years. And I'm originally from Punjab. And just on a starting note, when I came, like it was the mainstream idea was everyone to come here and do diplomas and get their PR and then, sort of move on to the degree part of studies. But I started with a degree, and that is not something everyone will encourage you to do. So I'm just looking forward to talk about that. I highly encourage it, and I'll let Puneet talk now.
Absolutely. So we're glad to have you, and I am certain about the fact that you will be able to add a lot of value to everybody who's here, who's joined us, and is looking forward to hearing or getting their questions or queries or doubts resolved by you. Right. So just to give you a context of what we're doing, we've emerged as South Asia's largest higher ed firm. We're now backed by the World Bank's IFC. We've just entered the Unicorn Club, and we're trying to make education super accessible, super affordable, and super democratized, right? And we are on that mission to make sure that more and more students across India and the world know about the ground realities of each of the major countries that everybody in India looks towards when they're planning their higher education pursuits, right? So we started with Canada, keeping in perspective that Canada is, normally looked at the #1 destination for higher education after school or after your bachelor's degree. So the first thing that we'd want to know from you is, how did you navigate that decision-making journey of choosing to go abroad right after school? Because conversely to the belief in India that, bachelor should be done in India, and then once you're very certain about, what are you actually meant to sort of study or do, is when you should actually spend that sort of a money to do your PG abroad. So how did you navigate that? And tell us more about why did you choose Canada?
Okay. So yes, that's actually people prefer moving after their undergrad. One reason for that is undergrad education is expensive here, without a doubt. As compared to like doing your master's, the fees is higher, the time period is longer. Like it's generally 4 years for most undergrad degrees in Canada, as compared to like 3 years in India, and it's a lot more expensive. Like you're looking at about 80 grand or like closer for the whole degree, dollars, of course. For me, I think what helped me in making that decision was that I started applying early, and there are very good entrance scholarships that these universities offer. So for me, like University of Alberta, my first year tuition for first semester was I think $12,000, and the university paid like half of it. And as long as you maintain a good GPA, for me it was 3.3 out of 4, they'll keep paying that amount for the rest of your degree. So just to kind of leverage international students, they have very good offers for scholarships. So the first advice I would give everyone is to start applying early, because you need to apply by December to be eligible for those scholarships. And you don't need to apply for them separately. Whenever you apply for an admission to any university, you are considered for those scholarships. And a lot of, like, I don't know why enough people don't know about it, a lot of international students like get those scholarships, like I would say 60% of them. And yeah, that was one factor. Why I chose Canada, of course, like it was way affordable. I had family here. I had like some idea of what the country is like, and I don't regret my decision. And I think it's because it's so the population is so diverse. I would say it's the far least racist place uh, in North America I have been to. And as you know, it's known, Canadians are really nice. They're very polite people. The culture is very good. You have a lot to do here, and people are very accepting. And apart from that, universities are really good. Research opportunities are very, very good. A lot of industries are like just budding, so it's not like cutthroat competition, especially the western states like Alberta, Manitoba, Saskatchewan. So they want people to live here. So, they help you in your PR. It's easier to, kind of settle down. Everything is cheaper. There is more job opportunity. So since I was coming to Alberta, that was also one factor. And my backup option was DU. But when it came to that, I was sort of 50-50 whether to go to DU or, come here. And maybe that was my original plan. I would go to DU and then come here. And back then, I did not know why I was coming here. But now looking back, I would say, being here for 4 years gives me an advantage over all the people who would come here after, their undergrad, because I've already done research. I know the culture. I have worked here. I worked in different industries. I'm doing an internship now. And networking, as we all know, is very important. And I know how the system works. Hopefully I'll get, I have the option of getting my PR. I have the option of, the biggest thing is for masters, I have the option for applying for government funds that I would not as an international student. So if I apply for my PR and I can access those funds, and that would like increase my chance of getting into a grad school. And of course, it will fund all of my studies. That's like a very big one that people don't know about. So I would highly encourage, like, if you are able to afford it, and if you have a good scholarship offer, come after 12th standard.
Right. Also, can you briefly highlight on everything that you had in place when you were applying early to these universities? As in, how did you spend your high school years? What was on your mind? Because I am assuming that you had in mind that you may want to move outside India. So, what are the things that were a prerequisite when you were applying early in December?
Okay, that would depend on the university you're applying to, and I would highly encourage apply to multiple. Like for my university, they did not require SATs. A lot of universities in Canada do not require SATs. In US, I think they do. In Canada, not so much. Of course, you have to have a good score in 12th standard. I cannot stress that enough. It's not like what you need for DU, but 90 plus is 80 plus like for engineering, and 90 plus for all other streams. It definitely helps. It increases your chances. And by the way, the entrance scholarships do depend on your 12th score. For early admission, of course, it's conditional. It's usually if you have sort of comparable score in your boards, they obviously give you the admission. But for me, it was that I got this school to sort of, make a more professional copy of the pre-board result, and sort of everything. I have a feeling my video is stuck. Can you still hear me?
Yes. We can see you,
Okay.
and we can also hear you.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So
Please.
yeah. So yeah, just like perform if you're looking into applying early, study for your pre-boards. Those are the mark sheets that you are going to be applying with, and get your school to kind of stamp them, or something that sort of kind of validates it.
Right.
And
Sorry.
yeah, other than that, I would say extracurriculars are always helpful, but don't it's like it's all right, don't go crazy. I would say academics should still be the main focus. Like, I have talked to a lot of people who are very, very concerned. I am not sure how it is for like universities in US, but as far as I know, in Canada, they give a lot of weight to your academics, and they do give way to your extracurriculars, but just have like two things that you want to do. Like, I was into debating, and uh I would say I was not into sports, and it did not create any problem for me. And we don't have a lot of sports scholarships in Canada, I would say, for international students. So that's one drawback. But yeah, a decent like amount of extracurricular is good.
Right. I think that should help those who would know this. Oh, also, we have a chicken and egg issue here. So, considering the fact that whether you do a diploma for 2 years or you're doing a degree, ultimately you do get a 3-year work visa, which is what is believed here and is true. But just help me and the audience here fathom the scope of being a graduate after a diploma or being a graduate from a degree, and the sort of uh, consequential impact it has on your future career and your growth. And when you're actually planning a post graduation degree, what really happens there? So, throw some light on the fact that how is the life of a diploma student different than a degree student, regardless of the fact that they may get a 3-year work visa maybe in a year or two?
Fair. Visa, I would say, is not a problem. Once you get here, you can get extension if you are planning to extend your studies. I just got an extension. For diploma, I wouldn't say it's like completely useless. It's not. I would still encourage everyone to go for degrees. But for, say, you want to go into banking, or you want to go into real estate, now more sort of if you want to go into a trading career, any trade, diplomas are perfectly okay. And these professions usually have additional certifications that you need to do, like to be a financial advisor, you need to do CFP and other PFP tests that you have to clear. And banks are usually okay with that. They don't look at your academics all that much if you are getting those certifications, and if you are performing well at your role. So I would say those are like very trade focused roles. So if you are interested in that, diploma is actually not a bad option. I would still encourage everyone to look more into it. But if you want to become, like I want to do my PhD in clinical psych. If you want to become an engineer, or maybe you want to do psychology and you want to go to grad school. First of all, there is no diploma for psychology, as far as I know. It's a full 4-year degree program. I haven't heard of any diplomas. Diplomas give you, sort of credentials to work, but I would say under supervision, and you can go up, you can sort of gain more credentials and move up. But for example, if you get a business diploma, you can go into banking. That's one option. If you get a management diploma, like it's hard to sort of find those positions in Canada, which is the ground reality, because a lot of international students are going for business and management diplomas, and a lot of them are having a lot of trouble, with finding jobs. So, store managers is mostly what's available for them. The only downside of doing a degree is it's more money. It's more money and it's more investment, as in you have to study more. Because diplomas are usually offered by colleges. Their standards of, sort of academics are not that high. It's easier to get by them. But for degrees, because they have, sort of that standard to maintain, it's generally hard to get, good GPA. You have to consistently study like you did in India. It's not like that you'll just, you'll work all the time and you'll socialize and you'll get good grades without studying. There are consequences if you don't study, if you're doing a degree. Yeah, and like other differences, I would say the main one, most people who do diploma do it with an intention to sort of get PR and then continue their education. So it is cheaper for them and they can pay the domestic fees after getting their PR. But what usually happens is no one goes back to school. Like once you sort of stop going to school, I haven't seen a lot of people who do go back. If you are very, very confident that you don't mind gap years and you would go back, you in Canada, you can always go back to school, no matter what age you are, where you are in your career. If you are confident that after getting a diploma, it will not be a problem, you'll get your PR and you're going to, save money, you're just gonna go back to school, pay domestic fees, that's an excellent option, except the fact that I haven't met a lot of people who actually do it. Once you're out of school, it's really sort of hard to go back from work to that full-time student status.
Right. So with that being said, you mentioned that the downside of a degree is that it is going to be a lot of investment upfront. How does part-time work come into the picture there, and will it help students actually pay for the living expenses at least? That is one. Second is, what sort of part-time jobs are there? As in, you're a student, and what sort of part-time jobs are some of the options that you have, and how much do they help you earn?
Sure. Yeah. It's definitely, I would recommend getting a part-time job. They cover all your living expenses. Legally, you are allowed to work up to 20 hours a week as an international student. But a loophole is if you're working on your campus, like any store on your campus, or student unions, you can work as much as you want. Those hours don't count. So I have with the less course load, I had worked like 40 hours a week. I would not recommend that. It's a lot of working. So for the part-time opportunities, I'm pretty sure a lot of people know what is available. You can work at in fast food industry, McDonald's, Starbucks. I would just tell you the jobs I had. So I started at McDonald's. I was a cashier, and it was okay. It was challenging. But yeah, like I would recommend it. Retail helps you with the communication skills and just getting to know how the culture works there. Then I was a cashier at a gas station. Then I was in the student union, which was an office job, which is an upgrade. And I would let everyone know that please look for those jobs. They look very good on your CV. Try to get out of retail, even if it's less hours. I was earning a little less because I did not get as many hours as I got as a cashier, but it definitely helped me getting ahead and sort of getting the internship that I have right now. Now the internship I'm doing, I'm sort of like assistant to a psychologist. So I do like psychometric testing, biofeedback and everything. And I haven't finished my degree yet. So I would say I'm at a very good place. And that's because I had a sort of good experience. And something else that really helped, please volunteer. International students don't do it enough. There are very good opportunities in Canada to volunteer, and those are usually the opportunities that help you get jobs. Because with that experience, as an undergrad student or as a diploma student, most likely you will end up doing a retail job that most of us do, which is perfectly fine. They pay you the same wage, usually like it's $15 in my province per hour. And but I additionally volunteered at the distress line. It's like sort of suicide hotline, and that's considered like sort of a first responder job. And every employer that I have met after that, sort of really appreciates that I have that experience, because any workplace emergency, they are confident that I'll be able to handle it. So I can't stress it enough. Please don't be very crazy about money. Please focus on volunteering a little bit.
Right. We have a very interesting question here. Debulina wants to know the ROI, and you could give a ballparkish figure here. In terms of when we look at degrees and diplomas, what is the average amount of money you're going to be spending on a 4-year degree and a 2-year diploma? And in terms of your career, you could maybe give us the return on investment with yours, the sort of first salary that you get, and also in the future. You mentioned here a couple of minutes ago how there is a cap to the sort of jobs you can have as a diploma holder, and that you'll always be under a supervisor. So give us both a short-term perspective on this and a longer term when it comes to the ROI on how much money you spend on both a degree or a diploma.
So most most commonly it's like yearly cost is the same for a diploma and a degree program. So whatever you're paying for diploma for 2 years, just double it up. That's what you're going to be paying for a degree. Mentioning that, I would just say that when you are applying for a degree program, your opportunities for scholarships are a lot more. So with me, I ended up paying just as much as a student with diploma did, because I had scholarships and I kept applying. I kept an eye out to bursaries and stuff. People don't know about bursaries. Those are also like very good options. And Praneeth can tell you about that later. Uh, in terms of returns, as I said earlier, like if you are going into a trading career, diplomas are good. I would actually recommend them. You don't need to get a business degree if you know what you want to do exactly. Like my sister-in-law, uh, she did her business diploma. She works as an investment banker right now with a very good bank in Canada. How she started was she started as a part-time teller in that bank, and then she did her certifications. And from teller is like sort of the person first point of contact, just cashiers, just kind of when you enter a bank, they're just guiding you to offices and stuff. And she moved up and up and up, and she I was with her diploma and her certifications, I would say like she's making more than, I don't know the exact figure, but I would say like uh, close to $2 lakh per year, which is very good in Canada, which is very good. Uh, I can't really comment on the returns. It depends from career to career. For example, if you're going for an engineering degree, for say people who are going for automotive diplomas, you would be able to work in car agencies, workshops, and that's still a blue collar job, and that comes with a lot of diplomas. You can do blue collar jobs. But if you are doing the engineering degree, you can get a white collar job. And with engineering degrees, the return is very, very good. So anyone who's interested in, engineering, I would highly recommend that you do the degree. They have very, very good internship opportunities. And those co-ops help you pay for the tuition, because like they pay a lot. Engineering co-ops pay a lot. And as soon as you graduate as like an engineer, uh, the job opportunities are really good, especially like for fields that are specific to Canada, mining engineering. Uh, it's a very good industry. It's a budding industry, and it's very good money, and they earn double the amount of any diploma could get you. And for me, my career, I cannot get a license as a psychologist just with an undergrad degree. Although if I have like right now, I'm confident I'll be able to get a good job right after I graduate, because I have the network and I already have an internship, and where I'm working right now, uh, they will help me, to sort of get my PR and get there and offer me a better job before I go to grad school. Uh, Another thing, if you want to be a doctor, you cannot go to med school here if you are not a PR or a citizen. And that's the same with I'm forgetting which career. There's one more, dentistry, doctors. Like you can't do those careers if you're not if you're an international student. So it really does depend on career to career. You can't generally comment.
What's the average salary going to be right after they graduate from university? If they're a techie, or they're an engineer, or they're a psychologist, what do you think will be a figure?
For a techie, if you're doing comp science, or if you're an engineer, uh, it's usually it's actually very good. It's hard to sort of round up, but I would say it's usually close to, like, it's more than $1 lakh per year for a lot of people. I wouldn't say that for everyone, but it's very good salary. I mean, if you're looking to buy a house, get a mortgage and stuff, and you have an engineering degree, 70-80% of the people have perfect careers.
So, which means you're spending close to 80 grand on the 4 years of your degree, and getting in return the first year itself about 1 lakh CAD as your return. Got that?
Yeah. I would also like to mention engineering degrees are a little bit more expensive than other degrees.
Okay, got that.
Yeah.
Now, we just wanted to take your opinion on what do you think if somebody just graduated out of high school and is very open to the sort of courses there are to pursue the bachelor's. What do you recommend is a talent gap in Canada, and some of the most emerging careers lie there. So which courses can they take up? Would you recommend business? Would you recommend a STEM course? Would you recommend liberal arts? What is your take on that?
Okay, I will recommend liberal arts only if you are interested in pursuing it for grad school. If you don't want to get your PhD or your MA, I would say your opportunities for employment are limited, given all the money you'll be spending on your undergrad degree. Unless you are like financially very privileged, I would not recommend doing that. I would say, like, even psychology, it's sort of liberal arts, sort of science, somewhere in the middle. But I have to fill those gaps by volunteering, doing an internship, doing honors, going to grad school. So it's going to be a long path. So any arts program, if you want to go if you want to pursue it long term, and if you're ready to invest all those years. For tech, very high in demand, very, very high in demand. It's also a stereotype with tech and Indians, and it's very, very true. If you are good at what you do, if you are someone who's very interested in all that stuff that I don't know anything about, uh, anything related to comp science, coding, software development, and something interesting, statistics, very much in demand. Canadians don't know how to do statistics. So if you are into statistics, definitely do a major in that, and you are going to get a job like that. In every department in Canada, be it anything, they need people who know statistics, and not enough people do. So anything tech related, you'll get a job here very easily. So I would highly recommend anyone who's interested in any sort of research, please come to Canada. The research opportunities are amazing and you get rewarded. The universities are, they try to support you through your research. There are a lot of grants available. They give you preference in scholarships, bursaries if you are doing research, because whatever you publish will have the university's name, and it's sort of, it's the university that's publishing it, even though you are the author. So that's very, very interesting. Like, they're very interested in that. Anyone who is interested in research, Canada is your place. Not just the university I go to, UBC is a very good place for doing research. University of Toronto, they're I would say a little bit on the expensive side as compared to UFA when it comes to undergrad tuition, but definitely that. And STEM careers are a very, very good option too. I am not very sure what you can do with a BSc. I have heard from some people that, doing a BSc like biological sciences and stuff, it's not very practical. As international students, obviously we have a little bit of disadvantage. You can't just pursue a career just because you're interested in it. Please look into employment opportunities beforehand. You don't want to be spending that much money to, not get a job. So neuroscience is a good option. Nutrition, I am not so sure how much of a good option is that. Nursing is a good option. Nursing pays really well. And yeah, just for the STEM careers, most of them pay very well, but they're like some like BSc, unless you are in research, then I would say you will have some opportunity. But otherwise, just sort of look through. And another thing I would recommend is go to Reddit. Start using Reddit. Whatever I'm telling, it's just in an experience and knowledge of one person. On Reddit, usually students talk a lot about these things. So there are a lot of forums that talk about these things, international students, opportunities, specific to a lot of, like, each universities, and unfiltered opinions and experiences that people had. That's a good resource. Don't be very discouraged. You'll find a lot of negative stuff, but if you find anything good, it's a good sign.
Some students here want to know, Ms. Mahal, about the prospects or the scope of having done an MBA in Canada, or if they're planning one, is that a safe option?
I actually don't know a lot about it, so I would not comment.
But how do you generally look at the fact that how much is the Canadian job market receptive to somebody who's done the PG in Canada, but the bachelor's degree from India in our case, compared to somebody who's done the UG and PG both in Canada, as in
I think it's like, if you have done an undergrad, as I said, networking is the real thing. It improves your chances of getting into the career that you want to. You start on with an edge over people who just came from India. And there are so many things that I wouldn't know about research, about how internship, volunteering, all those things work here if I came after my undergrad. And my chances of getting into grad school for clinical psych, the admission rate for which is 2%, would be very, very less. So that's something realistic, unless you're very, very smart and you have like done a very good work back home, research related or anything. Getting into grad schools could be a bit tough. You're looking at anything competitive or a good university. Job market, I would say, if you have done any education in Canada, they are pretty cool with it, because your most recent credential would still be from a Canadian university. On the other hand, if you're coming, with only education from India, like express entry visas that you do all your education back home and then you try and get a job here, that's usually challenging. That's very challenging for people. Like a lot of people to find jobs here, especially like people who dentists and doctors, like those are the people who usually come. I have heard very bad stories about dentists not being able to clear the tests. Very, very few people are able to clear those tests that are required to sort of help you practice it. Yeah, so summarizing it, it gives you an edge, definitely. But as in terms of job market, if you have a master's from Canada, I think that should be good enough.
Got that. You had mentioned that with your scholarship, you actually by the end of 4 years, you're going to be paying just the cost of how it would have been if you were just doing a diploma for 2 years, right? So just wanted to mention here to everybody who's with us that upGrad now has options in which you're going to be spending 2 years doing your foundational degree fragment in India, and when it's time for your majors, you then transition on campus. So we're helping you cover your semester 1 up until semester 4 here in India. You could go to our campuses, or you could stay online anywhere in the world, and you can transition on campus in the last 2 years, which again means the same thing, is that you're anyway just spending for 2 years of the academic fee. And the first 2 years are negligible, almost 2 lakhs per year. And we're also sort of now we have a direct admission team in place, which will definitely help you, sort of submit your early applications for bachelor's and master's, both like Ms. Mahal was mentioning. So we've got both of those facilities now, and we could definitely sort of help you honor, your needs and your requirements based on your financial background and your academic background. Could also help you decipher which is going to be the right degree. So we've got a whole team of counselors here to be doing that for you. Ms. Mahal, that brings me to the next question. Tell me, how many internships are actually there as a part of your 4-year academic degree? So
Okay.
yes.
For I would say humanities, psychology, criminology, sociology, they are limited, but there are plenty. If you are, if you're applying, if you're taking help of the resources on campus, and there are many, like career advisors, they help you with everything. And whoever is coming to Canada, please take advantage of all the resources that you are getting for free on campus. Yeah, they were limited, but this was the first internship I applied to, and I got the job. So I am assuming if you do it right, it's really not hard. They are enough. If you have the experience, you'll get it. For engineering, in my university, there are a lot of opportunities, a lot. Like, so you need to have a minimum GPA. This requirement to be in the co-op program. So like mine was the co-op program for a BA. So there is an engineering co-op program and there is an engineering traditional program. So for the co-op program, it's university that gets you in touch with the employers.
So I'm not really sure how many of the webinar attendees know here about co-op. So would love if you could sort of explain it better.
Okay. Co-op is basically sort of, it's I think the Canadian word for internships. That's what it is. It's a collaboration between your university and a firm or an employer for you to get experience working with them. And I would like to mention they're all paid. It's not unpaid internships that university, sort of gets you. So you'll be earning money. And a lot of students I know, international students I know, who have done co-ops, like whatever I'll be earning from my co-op, it'll be going to my tuition. So that's also a factor. You can do your internships, you can earn money, save that money, and contribute it to your tuition. And as I said, if you do everything right, I said there was a minimum requirement, the GPA requirement to get into the co-op program. Once you do, you apply for jobs, the university helps you in that, and then it's on the employer if they want to hire you like any other job. That's all. Just a lot of people, what they in their first year, they're not very careful with the GPA, and usually sometimes what happens is that makes them eligible to even ineligible to even apply for the internships. There's always a minimum cap that they require. It's not very high. Look into that early on, and you will be eligible to a lot of internships. The universities have, like any good university, they have a lot of opportunities, and you can apply to them.
Right. So during the course of 4 years, when you're actually pursuing your degree, how many times can you actually do a co-op, and how long is the co-op for?
For me, it is 12 months. For a lot of people, it could be 4 months, it could be 8 months. I have known people who have done three, co-op jobs, like 8 months, 12 months, and 4 months again. So I'm sure there must be some cap on it, on how much you can do, but it's not very restrictive. I know an international student who got 2 extensions on his study permit because he was doing co-op. As long as your university is okay with it, it's okay, this is part of your program, you're getting experience, it's part of your education, you can do it as many times as you want. And students who usually are paying for themselves, they take a lot of co-op jobs. So if you are getting those jobs, please go ahead and take them. There is no cap, there is no certain limit that I know of.
So which means there is absolutely no limit for them to work part-time, but also engage in as many co-ops as they can if they're supporting themselves
Yes.
financially during the academic studies. And you mentioned most of what comes through co-op, the stipend that is being paid to them goes towards their academic fee. Right?
Yeah.
Got
And
that.
it's actually good money. Usually any retail job you'll do without a degree or a diploma doesn't pay you a lot more than minimum wage. But all these internships, because university makes sure there's a standard, it's very good experience. They have collabs with like very good firms, and the pay is actually very good, and it will be comparable to what you will be earning after graduation. Usually not the same amount, but very good. And I would like to take this moment and tell everyone that internships are sort of very much prevalent in degrees. In diploma programs, you don't really have internship opportunities unless you are, it's very much required, like it's a physiotherapy assistant, massage therapist assistant, those things. And as you were asking earlier, like diplomas will be available for you to work as an assistant. You can't work as a physiotherapist as with a diploma. You'll need to do a degree. You can only work as an assistant. What you can do is get your PR and then complete those credits and then apply for a physiotherapist job. But if you just have a diploma, you are usually working like a sort of more blue collar job. You're working under someone. And yes, the internships are usually unpaid for those diplomas. So that's a drawback for diplomas. Internship opportunities are next to non-existent.
Got that. So if somebody has done their bachelor's uh, in engineering and then wants to switch fields, how open is Canada to students like this who are coming from one field but now want to move to another for their post-graduation?
They'll make you do some extra courses that I'm sure of. That will be the only problem. As you can very well use that as your advantage. They really, really admire, if you're passionate about, especially for grad school. If you are, if this person is going to grad school, if they don't require you to have certain courses, I would say apply and actually use it as your advantage, that you're passionate about this certain field, that you have spent so much time doing this and this, but then you switched because you were really passionate about it. I know someone who did engineering. Then they went on to do their master's in something STEM related, but not religious engineering, and ended up doing their PhD in sociology. And now they are a professor, and a very good one. So Canada, I would say, is very, very flexible with that. They do have some requirements, and there are a lot of options. You can take, those extra credits that they require you to take, just on a high school level, like maths 30. For undergrads, it's usually those, academic upgrading sort of. And for a master's program, if they require you to take some courses, they are online universities. I'm sure upGrad has some
Yes.
options for that.
I was
So
just coming
basically,
to that. So
yeah.
largely, I think to add on to that, a lot of it depends on how you explain through your statement of purpose the transition you make from one domain to the other. But what I can always tell you or guide you with is that upGrad has a lot of certificate or microcredit courses, which Ms. Mehal is largely mentioning. And prior to you, Isha, applying to another domain, what I recommend you do is you can look up on upgrad.com some of our certificate courses that will cost you less than 1 lakh, but then largely these are from American universities or good Australian universities or British universities, and they actually give you the requisite micro credits or certificates. They're also called as the executive PG programs in a specific field. So which means then you are transitioning from the same domain to a postgraduate studies in that domain. So it's easier for you to explain the shift you're making. Also, Ms. Mahal, we have a question. Please.
Sorry, before you ask me the next question, I'll just mention. So as Praneeth is saying, always verify with the university that you're applying to if those credits will be applicable to your degree. And another thing I would say, do not give way to wanting to do those courses in a university. If your whatever university you're applying to or program you're applying to is ready to validate them, whatever is most accessible to you, just get it done with. Like it won't matter academically. I'll just tell you, whatever you have available, just do it with some effort, some genuine effort. That's all. They don't really, if they are validating it, they don't care if you did it from Harvard or if you did it from any online university. As long as you have the credit, that's it. And another thing is, as he said, that explain that shift. That's very important. It has to make sense. So another thing you can do is get some experience in the field that you want to go in. Maybe get an unpaid internship. If it's a research opportunity, you could work in a lab, or you could just do anything related to that field, so that you can mention what sparked your interest to begin with. That's important. Sorry, Praneeth, you were asking a question.
Absolutely true. We have somebody asking about the scope of CPA in Canada.
Explain what CPA is, please. Excuse me.
It'd mean if there's somebody who wants to be a chartered accountant in Canada. So when they're doing a Bachelor of Commerce, a Bachelor of Business with majors in accounting, they become a part of the CA cohort. And then, so would you know about the scope of that?
I think they call it CFA here.
Okay.
Yeah. As far as I know, it's a very difficult exam to crack. And that's the certification you need. So to be a chartered accountant in Canada, you need to do CFA. I'm not sure how helpful anything from India would be. I know people who have had different degrees, but they cleared their CFA and now they're working as CAs. Job opportunities are good. I am not very confident about that. It's not my industry. But from what I know, anyone who's done CFA, they have like decent opportunities. And I have heard it's a challenging sort of a certification to complete. It's very much like, what can I compare it to? Sort of IQ based, and a lot of people, a lot of smart people I know, I've seen people attempting, practice exams, they end up getting 30-40%. Not to discourage anyone, but CFA is challenging. So if you want to do CA, I would rather encourage you to look into CFA, because I'm not sure if any certification regarding that from India would be helpful in the industry here. It can be an added experience when you're applying for jobs, but to practice, you'll need to clear the CFA.
Got that. The scope of media communication in Canada.
So I've heard people who have done good in that field. It's a hit or miss, I think, with media communications. I have a cousin who worked in NDTV, and she had like 5-6 years experience, and she got an okay job in Toronto here. But yeah, I would encourage you to look into that more if it's practical to do that.
Right.
Media communication is
We've got
practical.
a lot of them asking about the monthly expenses, as in, as a student, what do you spend? You could talk per week or per month, and compare it to how much you earn per week. Depends on how you want to answer that.
So how minimum wages work, they're different for every province. The average is $15, and multiply that with 20 hours if you're working 20 hours, given you're not working on campus. That's how much you are earning per week. And
380 is what you're making per week. And what do you spend in terms of your living, your food expenses, your transportation?
Yeah. I'll cover what's a necessity. Groceries, for groceries and everything, you're looking at around, $150 for the month. And this is very, very specific to Alberta. I will warn everyone, BC and Toronto are more expensive. If you're looking to go to, move to British Columbia or Toronto, everything, just rent is expensive, groceries are expensive. And if you're looking at rent in Alberta, I would say if you're, getting a private room, even in like a shared accommodation, it's around $600. That's the sort of the average and the lowest, unless you can get a basement for cheaper. You can get like basements for $300-400 for a month. For utilities, most international students use like public transport. Public transport is very, very convenient here. I would encourage everyone to not get a car until you finish with your schooling, because like insurance and there are a lot of expensive, just gas and everything. Public transport, your university gives you a U-Pass, is subsidized. So what I pay is $140 per semester for the bus pass, and that bus pass helps me access any transit that is available in the city, buses, trains, and I don't have to buy tickets. I can just show them that pass. So for 4 months, 4 or 5 months, we are looking at $140, which is not much, which is a very good idea. So above that, whatever personal expenses you have, you can factor that in. And it very much depends on, lifestyle of certain people. I can't expect everyone to just, buy food and pay rent and that's all. But what I would say is whatever job you're doing part-time usually covers your living expenses. It should not be a problem.
Got that. So we've got 2 final questions that I want you to take. When there's somebody who's doing a bachelor's degree in Canada, then has a shot at a 3-year work visa, right? Should they be using that time to do a job for those 3 years, or should they be looking at grad school? What do you recommend? So there's somebody who's asking, after my BBA, do I do a job in Canada or do I do my MBA now? I'm assuming she's in Canada already.
If you are in Canada already, I would say look at the returns on your investment. I mean, if you think with the VBA, you can get a comparable job as you can with an MBA, definitely just go for the job. There's no need for you to go to grad school. But if you think that, it will create a significant difference in your career, uh, getting an MBA, then definitely go to grad school. What I would encourage is after your BBA, you'll most probably be eligible to apply for PR. So go for that one first, take a gap year, work. Even when you're applying for grad school, any sort of job experience you have in that particular industry comes in very handy, because it's different for grad school. They're looking for people who are actually interested to be professionals in that field. So any experience, any research, anything comes in handy. So definitely from my personal experience, like that's my plan. I am going to take a gap year after my bachelor's. I'll try to get my PR. So I have access to those government funds, as I said. And once you're a PR, education is very cheap here. And you have access to student loans, student grants, so many scholarships. I cannot stress this enough. So many scholarships that international students don't have access to, that are provided by the government. There are plenty of them. So I would say, yes,
Right.
get a job and get a PR.
When you get a 3-year work visa and after you finish 1 full year of full-time work, right? Is
Yeah.
it then that you can finally apply for a PR? 1 full year of work?
Federal, if you're there are two ways to apply for a PR. One is through, you're applying this federal program that you need 1 year work experience for, and then there are provincial programs. Now, the only thing different is if you're coming to Alberta. Alberta lets me apply with the student internship. I can apply this work experience that as a part of my degree, whatever I'm doing, to get my AINP. It's like Alberta Provincial Nominee something, and I can get the PR like that. I can apply right after my graduation, because I'll have the 1 year work experience already, because I've done it full time and in Alberta, and they count it. So it's province to province. But if you're applying federal, definitely you'll need that 1 year work experience. If you are applying provincial, if you have any internship experience, just look into that. Your province might just actually let you apply with that experience.
Got that. And the last question for the day is, some of us want to know, including me, what are some of the provinces that one should look forward to in terms of an accelerated outcomes to what we're seeking, which means greater employability, more human capital, and a specific accelerated path to finally settle in a country like Canada.
Okay.
And of course, perspective, the good quality of education, of course.
Yeah. The only drawback of Western state is the weather. So we have a really cold weather for, I would say, 3-4 months per year. Like in Alberta, for a week or two, it goes down to minus 45. And given that, I would just say every place is heated. You really don't need to get out. Public transport is heated. The bus stops are heated. Your houses are heated. You, like right now, it could be minus 40. I would still be wearing the same clothes. I think everyone knows that. It's not that big of a challenge. But for a lot of people, that kind of weather and snow does get depressing. So if you are someone who cannot, that's a priority, I would say go to like BC. BC has way nicer weather. It's very mild, not as much snow. But if you want to go to a province to primarily settle down, I would highly recommend Alberta. I would highly recommend Saskatchewan. I would highly recommend Winnipeg, because these places are cold. There is definitely less competition. The minimum wage is better. The real estate is cheaper. Like real estate is the biggest factor. Rent is way cheaper. So I think it's half for us. and everything else like BC and Toronto are expensive, very, very expensive. For a new person, it is hard to sort of, just kind of get their feet down there or get a house or everything. In terms of universities, Alberta, Saskatchewan, all of them, they have good universities. So standard of education is nothing, I would say, uh, less than other provinces. Weather is the only drawback. Otherwise, I would highly recommend Western states. For international students, way easier to settle down. Everything is cheaper and you have a lot of opportunities because they are not as populated. So there is a lot of potential for growth. A lot of careers are budding. They still are sort of inviting a lot of people in, and getting a PR is also easy.
Got that. Somebody wants to know specifically about Ontario.
I saw that question. I don't know much about it, but Ontario is competitive, I would say. And Ontario, I would suggest the least because they also don't have a very good weather. It's pretty much like us, and it's very expensive and it's very competitive. Only thing is it's very diverse culturally, and there are, because it's a it's sort of the Bombay of Canada, so there are a lot of opportunities. But if you think you can survive in that cutthroat competition, definitely. I think there's always an option to move after you get your PR. Like, that's my plan. When I get my PR, it will be way more affordable. I won't be paying international tuition. I might move to BC for the sake of weather. But initially, I would say it was a very good decision to come to Alberta.
Also, I think would want your opinion on something, as in, how is a gap year student typically perceived as by a Canadian university? So if you had taken a gap year after school, would your chances have been lesser than what they are?
I don't think so. I'll let everyone know I repeated 11th grade. Not because I failed. I had, I don't know if Praneeth knows this, I started with, sort of preparing for those medical entrance exams. Then 1 year later, I realized, no, I don't want to do this. So I did my 11th grade all over again with humanities, which was not a very popular idea in India. But I've never been asked about that gap year, but it could also be because I had my 11th and 12th grade after that. But obviously my 10th mark sheet and my 12th mark sheet, there was 3 years difference. So I was never asked about that. But specifically for a gap year after 12th grade, I'm pretty sure no one cares. But if you think that they might, just have something sort of an explanation to give. If you're writing an SOP, just mention what you did in that gap year and use it as your advantage. I would say you can use everything as your advantage. Just tell them you were, sort of figuring out what you want to do when you were trying to get experience in different fields here and here, just to get an idea of what industry is actually like, and you're good to go. Gap year is not a problem.
Got that. I think it's been an absolute pleasure hosting you, and would also sort of take this moment to let all the webinar attendees know that you can always write to us. I've given two email addresses for you to follow and write to us on. And I think just to reiterate what I had mentioned a few minutes ago, we are now looking at both accelerated programs, which is you spend 1 year in India doing your foundational part of the degree, and then the last 3 years on the campus in Canada. Or you can look at a 2+2 if you further want to save money. So your whole Canadian education comes down to almost 20 lakhs for all 4 years combined, right? So that is what we're looking at. But we're also looking at helping you apply early to universities directly. So we've got a direct admissions team in place that's going to be doing all the necessary hand-holding, the SOP writing, trying to equip you with all the necessary steps that you will need to take to apply early. We're super eager to be helping you students. And I also put down my email address and the phone number that you can contact us on. Wishing you all good luck. And Ms. Mahal, again, on behalf of upGrad, I'd like to thank you for being here with us. Any students, if you've got any more questions for Ms. Mahal, please feel free to email us on the 2 designated email addresses that I have given you, and I will make sure that Ms. Mahal can take those. Ma'am, would you want to pass some final message to these students?
Sure, yeah. First of all, thank you so much for having me. And then all of you, I would recommend whatever questions you have, reach out to Praneeth. He has been very helpful in my career and always gave me even advice, and he knows a lot about a lot of things. And another thing is, yeah, like whatever I said, please, this is my limited knowledge and my limited experience. Don't take anything as like a final, sort of, if you were looking for a diploma and I have discouraged you, please look further, talk to Praneeth, talk to people at upGrad. They definitely know more about it. And except that, I think all the best to you. I hope if you want to come to Canada, I would definitely say it's a very good place. Whatever you hear about people, it's depressing, and once you come here, you want to go back. It's not what I don't want to come back. I like this place. It definitely grows on you. So yes, I'll encourage everyone to apply, and all the best with your applications. Start applying early and keep your options open.
When you say apply early, how many intakes would be there for somebody who's graduating next June 2022? How many intakes are going to be viable for a bachelor's degree?
Start looking at applications as early as this November. Start next month. For scholarships, which are sort of very, very main point, there is always a deadline. It's usually sometime in December. And after that, you can still apply for admission up until Feb or March, but you won't be eligible for the scholarships. And later, I don't know what's the scholarship deadline if you want to come in the winter intake, for say, starting in January. There's a fall intake and there's a winter intake. But I'm pretty sure it will be like we will be looking at like June, July for the scholarship deadlines. Don't know specifically. Look into that. Depends on your university, but it's fall intake and winter intake usually. So there are 2 intakes.
So if any student wants to apply early for a scholarship or financial aid, the right time for September intake is November, and for Jan intake should be June or July, right?
Yeah, but check in for the Jan intake. I'm not pretty sure. I'm sure about the fall intake. It's always before December.
Got that. So our team will definitely help you with that. We will do the necessary handholding that you guys need to apply anywhere in the world for any sort of degree or diploma that you'd want to do. Ms. Mahal, thank you again for joining us and helping these students. I wish you all good luck, and please reach out to us on an email if we haven't been able to answer your question. We had a shorter window of time, and we generally take questions that are universally applicable to everybody and not very specific. Right, so wish you all good luck. Thank you very much, and we wish you a great evening ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.